All right, we're obviously coming out of a week where we didn't perform to our standard. Discussed it after the game, but as a team didn't play to that standard. We didn't have the energy and the edge that we need to play with to win. And as a coaching staff, we didn't prepare our guys well enough to go out there and play winning football. So, we've talked about it as a team this week. You look around, and in the world today, everyone's looking for someone to blame. This is a team sport, and it's shared all the way around, and there's plenty of blame to go around, and we've got to do a better job. Our standards are to go out there, and it's not about winning and losing. It's more about playing to a certain type of standard, and that wasn't it on Saturday. So that's one that we've got to get behind us. We've got to move forward quickly. You got 3 days left before we got to go do it again here, what we've talked about is the things that we still have in front of us and what we get to do. This week we get to play for bowl eligibility at home against a team that last year, we went down to their place and they put it on us pretty good. So we better have that edge this week. As a staff, we need to fabricate it if we don't feel like we have it. But our players know this week that this thing is big for us. Playing for a bowl game is a huge deal. I mean, that's not something that everybody gets. And we need to go take care of business this year. We're playing, and we get to work on finishing a season that we can show a lot of improvement in the end. But that doesn't come by just showing up. The work that has to be done daily and the way you perform, it all goes together, and you can't miss any step along the way. Certainly, I know everyone's going to have a bunch of questions about it. Zion's not going to be able to play this week. That's as far as I'm going to go into the details of that. Chandler Fields will be our starting quarterback, and we're going to play really well around him, and we're going to get ready to go win a division game this week at home on Thursday night.
So, Coach, with it being a short week, today is basically a Wednesday for you guys. How does that kind of change the prep work going into Thursday night?
Well, I mean, it changes the format of practice a little bit. Certainly you're not going to do a whole bunch of full speed stuff, good on good stuff, but we do have to get these reps, and we practiced last night. So, for the kids, you don't want it to feel like a whole lot different. It's all sped up naturally. For the coaching staff, that's where, you got to work a little bit ahead of time, and you got to make sure that you can get everything on schedule because, you're cramming already, a pretty busy week when you have a 7-day turnaround into 5 days. So as a staff, we need to lock in, and we need to do a great job this week. I think, where you get in trouble on a short week is you try to be too cute, and you try to be a little bit too specific. You got to figure out what your kids can do really well, what they can operate, and you got to get them ready to go play the game. Sometimes it comes down to you got to go out there and you got to square off, and you got to go put it down for 4 quarters, and you got to go do your thing. And that's what this game is going to be. Our team, I think, our team this year in particular, every game that our guys are going into it believing it's going to be a 4-quarter, 12-round fight. We've played well in those games. And at times, for whatever reason, we, maybe didn't believe that, didn't go out there and play the way we need to. Well, from here on out, that's what they're going to be. And the way that we're going to have to win now, it's going to be ugly, and it's going to be gritty, and it's going to have to be a team football game. And that's just what it's going to be. So for us, you change some things around, but you certainly, practice is the most important thing we do here. And so, you got to get the practice reps in.
Coach, the next 2 games especially, it's going to be about can you stop the run. Troy's running back just set school records. We all know how good Frank Gore can be, rushed for over 200 yards. And just what about what has been lacking there? Is it more matchup things, or just talk about the run defense and getting better?
Yeah, we got to do a better job against the run. I mean, that's obvious. It's a little bit of everything. We've got to do a better job in preparing. Maybe it's run pressures, committing more people to the run, make them throw the ball and beat us in the air. But you can't just sit back there and think that, everyone that you play wants to run the football, and these guys are no different. They got a great back and a really big offensive line, and that's what they hang their hat on. So we're going to have to play with an edge. Some of it is, I don't know how else to say it. You get a chance to get the guy down behind the line of scrimmage, you got to get him down. And you got to rally the football, and you got to play. You got to go out. You got to play defense with a certain edge. Offense, I think sometimes you can be businesslike and just kind of calculated, but defense, you got to play pissed off a little bit. And that's the way we got to play. It's got to feel personal, and it's got to be one of those things where you go out there and you just play with a certain type of edge. And yes, we need to do some things. We'll help our guys. We'll get some more people in the run fit as secondary pass players instead of primary pass, secondary run. We'll do some of those things, but we've got to execute the plan really well. You got to tear off of blocks, and you got to finish on the ball carrier. So again, it's not a one-sided thing. There's ownership in this program, and we've all got to do our jobs a little bit better as coaches, as players, and everybody in between.
It has to feel confident, though, that to have Chandler, a guy who has experience, being able to take the reins down here, and that has to be comforting, I guess, as an offense and as a team.
We're very confident in Chandler. He played well for us last year. He got us into a bowl game with the way he played at the end of the year last year, and played really well before he got banged up in that game. So, yeah, we have a lot of confidence in Chandler. He can run the entire offense. That's not an issue. And our players believe in him. He came in last week and put a drive together that, certainly gave us a chance to put some points on the board, make it a one-score game at the end right there. So, yeah, there's a lot of confidence in him and the way he'll play for us.
Has Southern Miss changed up anything offensively since the head coach fired himself as the OC?
Yeah, they're doing some subtle things a little bit differently. I think the thing that you're seeing, though, is they're saying, okay, we've got this running back right here. He's going to get carries. And their formula when they've played well this year and won has been that the guy's gotten carries. And you don't have a running back like that and limit his touches, and they've done a really good job of getting him the ball. And the guy is one of the best backs in the league. I don't know what the statistics say. I'm not a statistic person, but you just watch him. He's one of the best backs in the league, and they're going to get him touches. They're doing some things different a little bit in protection and things like that, and helping out the O-line and getting it kind of dialed in there. So there is a little bit of a shift there in the last couple games. And they've played well on offense the last two games. So, we've got to be prepared. You got to look at the whole picture and things they've done in the past that have been good. Obviously, that's still part of who they are. But you do have to be locked in and focused on, kind of the transition and what they're turning into a little bit.
Are they as kamikaze on defense, or with all the points they've given up at times, they've kind of toned that down a little?
No, they're still doing what they're doing. On defense, there's a whole lot of pressures. There's a bunch of pressures and movements up front, and it's that they create a lot of negative plays because of that. At times some teams have hit some explosives. They've had a hard time getting guys on the ground at the second level. So you really got to try to do a good job and cover all that stuff up front in the run game and the pass game. I think they've got some really talented pass rushers too. I think their front. Really, I think they've got a really good front. They've got some talented pieces there. So they're going to pressure. They're going to bring it. You got to cover that stuff up front and do a good job with that. And then on the back end, our guys are going to have to make some people miss and get some explosive plays. There's a lot of one-on-one situations out there. They'll leave their guys in coverage, and they'll be, open field tackles that they make it. It's minimal. You break it, and it's a big one, and it's. That's something that we've got to do. We've got to get the ball in space a little bit. Even in the run game, you got to cover it up and break the first, second level to get it in space. And in the throw game, certainly you got to get the ball in some of these guys' hands, and they've got to do something after the catch. So, they're pressure a lot. That's who they are. I don't know that they have another speed. That they're full speed all the time, and they're going to bring pressure, and they're going to do those things, and they're going to try to. I would imagine. With our, we're on our third quarterback. It is what it is. I would imagine that's not going to change. They're going to try to put it in your face, and they're going to try to make you make bad decisions and force turnovers.
Coach, how important is it for a team to band together when you face the type of adversity, losing one quarterback and now losing another, to band together in times like this?
This is the ultimate team challenge, and that's what this week is. This is where, as a team, your belief is tested. And this is where, as a team, all the things that you talk about in the off season and all the things you do with leadership and all these guys that you're trying to get them to believe in a vision that you have, and you talk about it. It's never about one person ever. That's myself included. It's about the team, and this is the ultimate test for our team. I'm very confident Chandler's going to play well. Chandler doesn't need to be the only one that steps up and plays well. our team has to step up, and they've got to play well. We've got to play well in all three phases around these guys that are stepping in. It ain't just Chandler now. We got I'm not going to go into it. It sounds like you're complaining all this crap, okay? But everybody's got a lot of injuries right now. We got a lot of them too. So we got a lot of guys that are stepping up, and the guys that are regulars, the guys that are starters, the guys that have been playing for the last 9 weeks, they need to go and play well. We as coaches need to do a great job and put them in position to have success. But this is the ultimate team test. You got to turn around a game that you're not. I mean, let's call it what you're embarrassed about the way that you played as a team, as a coaching staff, everything, right? You don't feel very good about that, right? You got a short turnaround. You got a bunch of guys that are stepping in there and have to go play. This is where teams have to rise up and play, and I expect our team to do that. We've got that type of character on this team. We've got that type of grit, and we have that type of leadership. So, when you're down in the dirt and everybody wants to kick you when you're down, this is when you rally around yourselves. This is when, as a team, you get back to back and you go out there and you go fight the next fight. And there's no better opportunity for us to get to show what we're really about than this week right here. And our guys are going to go out there and they're going to play their asses off. And we're going to go late on the line, and we're going to find a way to win a game. And that's all that matters. The rest of it is just the rest of it. We're finding a way to get to 6 wins, and we're going to go do that this week.
So that's a struggle with sometimes to stop the run. And you mentioned about backs getting to the second level. They've had trouble doing that a few times. How key is for you to get your running game really cranked up like you have in some games this year, especially with Chandler back there, knowing that they're going to bring pressure?
Yeah, I mean, it's running the football is something that I don't. That's something we are going to do here. And we are going to run the ball. We're going to establish the run. We're going to find a way to do it. That doesn't change regardless of who we got at quarterback. And for us, the games that we have played that we've really clicked on offense, we've handled the run game well. And it doesn't matter. Some games it's a bunch of movement. Some games it's a stagnant front. Some games we've handled it well at times, and other times we haven't. And when we haven't handled it well, we struggled a little bit as a team. That is just who we that's our makeup a little bit. And for us, our team, that's something that's important. Our guys up front, they've got to go out there this week and they've got to get ready to go, and they're going to get ready to play their best game. Our front, our edge play, our guys on the edges, the tight ends, the receivers blocking at the third level, the running backs pressing runs and playing physical. That is something that is absolutely critical to me, because that is an identity that you have. And we've talked about it as a team from the very beginning, is who do we want to be? Like, who are we? And right now, there's times where, man, you look like the team that you really want to be. And then there's some times where you don't. And so for us, you are what you do consistently. I've said that a million times in here. And so for us, it's continuing to create that culture of consistency. And we got a game this week that we get to go out there and we get to go play exactly the way we want to play. And that's what everyone in our building has to be on point. Everyone in our building, it doesn't matter what your job is, it's important. And this week more than ever because of a short week. So we've got to be all together on this thing, and as a team, and that's every part of it. That's every position group, that's every coach, that's every quality control coach, that's everyone in the building. Our athletic trainers have a huge job this week trying to get these guys back. That's everyone in here has to go out there, and we have to do our job with way more urgency than what it showed up on Saturday.
Coach, this morning we saw something on social media where Charles Tillman announced that Patrick Menza is going to wear his number 5 this week. Can you just comment on Patrick and what he has done? That's pretty big on.
Number one, Pat Menza is the most persistent person you might ever meet, okay? So the number 5 has a lot of significance to Pat. And I'll let him explain that to you guys, because that's his thing to tell. He came to me about wanting to wear number 5, and I said, that's a tall order there. So you're going to have to go to the source, and you're going to have to get that cleared with him. And Peanut's thing from the beginning was that number's retired. Like, you get to go make your own number. And Pat, they had a lot of dialogue back and forth, and essentially between Coach Wingardner, who knows Peanut a lot. Peanut finished before I got here, so I've met him in passing and things like that, but I don't know him like that. Between Troy and the conversations with Pat, Peanuts decided that he wanted him to wear that jersey for a game. And, it has nothing, I told our team this, it has nothing to do with Pat Mensah as a player. Okay, and Pat Mensah's played really good for us. So that's not to take away from that. Pat started his career here as a walk-on. He was promised nothing. He's got a degree now. He's in grad school working on a graduate degree. He is the ultimate teammate. His role started on one special team. Then it turned into 2, and then it turned into 3. Then it turned into a guy that you couldn't play teams without. He kept working. This year, you've got some things that happen on defense. He ends up playing a huge role on defense and has played really well for us in spots. He's a guy that his teammates absolutely think the world of him. When he makes a play, when he does anything, watch that sideline. That they love it, and they love it because they know how hard he's worked. And I think for Peanut, it was more about those things than it was about anything to do with him being a good player, which he is. So our team was really excited for Pat. I'm happy for him. I appreciate Peanut doing that. I think that's a very selfless thing to do, from one of the best to ever wear the vermilion and white. And it's something that Pat understands the significance of it. And for one game at home, he'll get to wear that number. That means a lot to him. And so those things, to me, those are things that's kind of what this place is about a little bit. You have a guy who's been, insanely successful, is still an understatement. He still has enough interest in our program and in our players and in our team to take time out of his day and to make a decision to do something like that. I think that's very selfless, and it's very much appreciated by myself, by Pat, and by our entire team.
With rain coming in on Thursday, any change to the game plan at all?
No, we're just going to get ready to play.
Coach, is this week about kind of going back, and obviously you have confidence in Chandler, but you're not going to tell us what it is, but there are things I'm sure that Zion does better than Chandler and Chandler does better than Zion. Is this about trying to really identify what Chandler does best? That's what this week is largely about.
Well, this week is largely about, it's always about, especially on a short week, what your players can operate the best. And every quarterback, all 3 of the guys that we've had this year are all a little bit different in the things that they do well and strengths and weaknesses, things like that. Long story short, you're going to try to do things that fit his game. You're going to try to do the things that he understands really well. The good thing about it is the guy's been in this system for a long time, so he's got a really good grasp of the, basically the overarching themes of what we're trying to do. He's got all the ability that he needs to go do it. And, I said this before, that kind of people have talked about him. I don't know that you can handle a tough situation a whole lot better than Chandler Fields has handled the situation that he's had since he's been here. Every time he takes a step forward, it was an injury that kind of hurt him last year and kind of set him back a little bit. And then he comes back and, it didn't work out exactly the way he wanted, kind of the way things worked this year. Every day he's in the meeting room. He's the same guy. He's got a smile on his face. He's taking his notes. He's asking questions. He's going out there. He's competing at a really high level at practice. No one is a bigger fan of Zion than Chandler's. Nobody was more upset for Zion than Chandler. He's been the ultimate team player. He's a culture guy. Like he believes in his team, and he believes in doing his role the best he can, and he'll get an opportunity to go out there and he'll play well for us. And like I said, our team is going to play well around him because they know that he's got the ability to do it, but they know what he's been through, and they know how hard he's worked to get himself in position to be ready when his opportunity came. And those are the things that you preach all the time. Not everybody listens, but if you wait until you get the opportunity, you're not going to be ready. And he's not waited, he's worked. And so, we're going to do the things that we can do to help him have a lot of success so he can go play well and help our team win a game.